You know, it's funny how the biggest life lessons can pop up in the most unexpected places. Today, we're jumping into a personal story about an immigrant's first real job in London. It all started with something as simple as sweeping leaves, but it ended up being a crash course in culture, comedy, and a whole part of the world he never even knew existed. So let's set the scene. Our narrator gets a job with a company called Service Team. And where do they send him? Richmond. We're talking one of the most exclusive, posh areas in all of London. For him, coming from where he did, it must have felt like landing on another planet. I mean, just try to picture it. Your first gig is sweeping streets, and they drop you right into the heart of the city's wealthiest neighborhood. Talk about a culture shock, right? He's there to do a job, but he's also suddenly an observer in this completely alien, super affluent world. Then he gets introduced to his crew. First, there's this one guy who looks like a typical Englishman, all confident and put together. The other guy, he just looks scared, constantly. But here's the kicker. They're both Ukrainians, just like him. The Englishman is named Slava, and the anxious one is Seriosha. Two totally different guys he's about to spend all day, every day with.
So, what was the daily grind actually like for this unlikely trio? Well, the hard work was one thing, but it was really in those small, everyday moments where the real story starts to take shape.
The work itself was no joke. We're talking sweeping up massive piles of autumn leaves, sometimes up to their waists and right near one of the Queen's residences, no less. But then one morning, a local barmaid does something really nice. She offers them all a cup of tea. And for our narrator, this becomes another little culture shock. Milk in tea? The idea was just bizarre to him. But hey, it was freezing cold, so he drank it anyway. To make the long hours go by faster, Slava, the confident one, starts telling stories. And these aren't just any stories. They're about his time serving in the army. And pretty quickly, it becomes clear that his tough past is way more intense than his calm exterior lets on. Okay, so check out this story Slava tells. It starts with a super simple order. Go get a broom. The only problem, the broom is in a room where a bunch of senior soldiers are just hanging out, smoking. They see him and they dare him. Go on, try to take it. So he does. He just walks in, grabs the broom, and walks out. And for following orders, he gets beaten so badly he spends the rest of the day just lying on a pile of coal to recover. And this moment right here perfectly captures the dynamic of the crew. After this dark, really intense story from Slava, quiet Seriosha pipes up with this perfectly deadpan, serious question. And what? Was it their broom? The timing, the absurdity of it just shatters all the tension. The narrator and Slava completely lose it, just erupting in laughter. It's this incredible moment of pure comedy right in the middle of a miserable workday. Okay, so after about 3 months of this routine, sweeping leaves, listening to stories, and laughing, a huge opportunity comes along. And this was a real turning point for him. This was a massive, massive deal. Going from a temp agency worker to a full-time direct employee, it was life-changing. It wasn't just about getting better pay or more stability. It was about feeling like he actually belonged in his new country. It was the moment he stopped feeling like just a temporary visitor and started feeling like someone who was actually building a real life here. And the money? Well, that was a total game changer. On holidays, his pay literally tripled, jumping from £6 an hour to 18. With an incentive like that, working every single day, no days off, suddenly seemed like the smartest thing in the world to do. This wasn't just about earning some extra cash. It was a chance to really get ahead, to build a foundation. He just couldn't pass it up. So now, he's working all the time. He even spends his lunch breaks napping on bags of leaves behind some garages to save time. And it was during one of these breaks that an encounter happens that would completely flip his understanding of this new world on its head. A friendly local guy, out walking his bulldog, just stops to chat. As they get to talking, the man mentions that he's an immigrant too, from Czechoslovakia. And finding that little bit of common ground, he feels a connection and decides, hey, you should meet one of my neighbors. So the neighbor, an Englishwoman, opens her door and immediately floors him by speaking in perfect, almost strangely formal Ukrainian. Her very first question is, "Are you from the church?" He's totally baffled and just explains that no, he's a student working nearby. And that's when the conversation takes another really weird turn. The woman just nods and then, super casually, mentions that her Czech friend, the guy with the bulldog, well, he doesn't go out with girls. For the narrator, this wasn't just some random piece of information. This was the introduction of a concept, a word, an entire identity that was completely and totally new to him. And just like that, in that one moment, on a random lunch break, surrounded by bags of leaves, his world just expanded. For the very first time in his life, he was knowingly meeting a gay person. This was so much bigger than learning about milk and tea or weird army stories. This was a deep, personal revelation about the sheer diversity of human experience. And that really is the heart of this whole story. A simple job sweeping leaves in a fancy neighborhood led to this fundamental shift in his perspective. It's just a perfect example of how the biggest, most important lessons in life are never planned. They just find you in quiet conversations and unexpected introductions, and they completely change the way you see the world and all the people in it.